I might fall apart, I keep trying. Sun's coming up and the glare is so blinding. I'm sick of hearing and seeing all of the people whining. You want something good, then you better go put the time in. You get what you pay for and time is money, we climbing. It's prime time, it's my time, I got it. I'll be just fine, my mind, you can't stop it. Give me a vine to climb and I'll top it. Grow yourself a spine, got mine, that's a promise. Take a deep breath and head towards the darkness. The light at the end wasn't put there by no novice. My hand I extend, so welcome to my office. No time to repent, we're building and not stopping.
Gonna take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow. And we ain't gonna take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow. Yeah, I'm the fucking show.
I'm gonna rule this world one day. Y'all finna know the name. I'm spitting game to the people who decide our fate. I'll make a name in history, be one of the greats. I've got the traits that you need to get past the gates. Man, I don't wait, I exceed every single day. A different breed, yeah, I put it on display. Got all I need, and it's up inside my brain. I will succeed, cause I tell myself that every day. Y'all will concede and remember the name. Shout out to Fort Minor, cause it's 50% pain. But that 5% of pleasure's why I'm still in the game. And I exceed every measure by hard work, I'll explain. It's early mornings and late nights. It's fight and sleep, that's the hardest fight. But when you sleep, someone's passing by. You better try harder and fight smarter to go farther. Become your own monster, called a self-starter.
Take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow. And we ain't gonna take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I
All right. I think, maybe, just maybe. Oh my God, we're actually broadcasting this time. It's an amazing thing, isn't it, Akaran?
Oh yeah.
All right, but hey guys, what's going on? So Memes here with our good buddy Akaran right over here. Yeah, that's how it works. But yeah, we're gonna make this attempt number 2 or 3, I think, to actually go live to discuss a little AI because we started having an excellent discussion on Discord. I said, let's pause, let's take this to the rest of the interwebs, and then we set it up. We did the whole intro, and some noob forgot to hit the go live button. But yeah, nobody's ever messed up on the internet before. But Akaran, let's delve into kind of where we were just leaving off. You were saying before there were a couple of different paths originally kind of conceptualized as far as AI. Would you mind going into those once more?
Not so much as conceptualized as attempted to do. But I mean, MIT, they wanted to try and basically create a robot baby and raise it. Use that attempt to make something that could be turned into an artificial intelligence.
Oh, I kind of remember that. I remember in the 6th grade, we had 6th grade sugar babies where basically you had to carry around like a 5 or 10 pound bag of sugar the entire week and take care of it. I think I may have eaten some of my baby.
No, it wasn't a sugar baby. It was actually believe it basically turned into a robot face. They gave it eyes, they gave it a mouth, At one time, they gave it a hand
Th-
and basically rewarded it and punished
That that sounds like a Tamagotchi pet.
it. Yeah, I had no idea where that went.
Oh,
Uh,
I think there was mass abuse. I think that that's well. Let's not get into the great Tamagotchi genocide of the '90s. That's very sad
yeah.
point. Actually, no, it's just disrespectful even using that word. But anyways, yes, we're under the category of entertainment. My apologies to anyone that was offended. It was not our intention. But yeah, so as far as AI, we've tried it in a number of different forms. And before I realized that we weren't actually broadcasting, you had said that AI may be taking the form of a more like focused role.
Yes, I believe that is the path that will likely succeed. That is what the Japanese are basically attempting to do. That is, they're not trying to create an artificial intelligence per se. They're just more attempting to create a personal assistant that is slowly able to take more of an initiative,
Hmm.
which is an offshoot of their virtual idols. While we Westerners, we have been basically trying to use evolution and bots to create our eyes. The problem is that our way of doing it is basically take a bunch of code, toss them in school, and kill off the ones that fail in class, and then copy the ones that succeeded and do that all over again.
That that sounds actually a lot what I believe J.F. Garapi kind of alluded to in his book from just some oversights that I believe he titled The Revolutionary Phenotype, where he basically said that at the current state of things, if you have the ability to start editing and kind of like doing gene editing and stuff like that with kiddos before they even come out of their mothers, like you, it's kind of almost what you just said. You almost kind of copy and paste for like whatever you're trying to like maximize, minimize in certain extents, right?
Yeah, in part. The problem is that the Western ones had this problem that uh, first you are trying to make them do far too much than compared to what it actually is able to do. Secondly, they are insanely stupid.
It, well, I mean, is that not? Well, again, you need to define what it is that you want it to do. If you're trying to create artificial intelligence, I think there are a lot of folks out there that aren't even necessarily sure what they want to do. I know I am often among them. So if I have enough trouble, how can we even try to conceptualize creating something if we ourselves are unsure at times what we're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, but imagine that I want you to build a house and I give you an abstract painting to show you what the house is.
Okay.
Are you able to make the house?
Um, I mean, if I'm
The
a
only,
fully
the only,
licensed, oh, by myself?
yeah, the only idea of a house you have is an abstract painting that I show you.
Oh, well, I mean that's great. I mean, in theory, is it possible? I guess 1,000 monkeys with 1,000 typewriters, given an infinite amount of time, could come up with the works of Shakespeare. Am I likely going to be able to do it? Hell no.
Yes, and that is a problem with the Western artificial intelligences. That is, they aren't able to actually learn once they get to work. So if you don't define what they're supposed to be doing, then they keep adding mistakes upon mistakes. But when you try to fix that, you basically have to create a new generation. And since you ain't able to understand all the faults with the one you're trying to use, you can end up with a faulty bot creating an even faultier bot.
Well, I mean, hmm, I don't know. It's very weird in that I mean, hasn't there been success though? I mean, at least with like AI in regards to something like chess and stuff. I know that basically the best chess systems at times sometimes will come to what they consider like a draw with some grandmasters. Occasionally, grandmaster will win. Occasionally, the AI will win. So, I mean, is that not like more of a specified task? I understand that's more of like a rule set because if you're projecting out so many things, if you can predict so many different moves, then you can take account for so many different moves. Um, I mean, is that an example of AI success, or is that more of just an example of a successful bot?
That is more of a successful bot, but also that bot isn't dealing with an abstract painting or something. It is actually having a clear-cut image of what it's supposed to be doing.
Mm.
It's no, there are no gray areas for it to try and work out and do guesswork. It is clear what it can do and what it cannot do. And that is why I believe that the assistants of Japan will succeed better because they will work on a similar aspect to it. There's no complex systems to what they're doing. They are clearly defined. I mean, did you know that in China, uh, you're just as likely to get a bot as a lawyer than a real flesh and blood lawyer?
That's terrifying. Me, I, I mean, how good's the bot?
It's decent.
The only reason is I'm just asking. Well, if it was going to do better than the actual attorney, well, maybe I'd take it. But that, at least in a Western United States context, that is absolutely terrifying. Even though I have seen previous data to more or less kind of confirm that this is the way we're going for a lot of maybe the criminal justice system, trying to make it as objective as possible. I mean, in some ways that's good, but in some ways at the same time, not necessarily having that human component could, I don't know, it could be absolutely be tragic in a way. I mean, I'm not sure what the future holds. Um, what I'm kind of seeing now, and maybe it's just because we're following our generalized natures, because human beings, at least historically in the past, I mean, if you're kind of generally independent or part of like a loosely knit tribe, a lot of folks, maybe some folks would hunt, maybe some folks would gather, maybe some folks would kind of just tend to like the young or maybe the older folks or something like that. But at the same time, many folks would also have the ability to hunt, to gather, to tend for other human beings. You would have the ability to do a number of things. Maybe help raise livestock, maybe actually like sow crops, maybe actually like fix a lot of things normally. But now within a lot of our Western civilization, we've seen a lot of focus on speciality, just specifically. You specialize in this because we want you to just, it's almost like min-maxing for a game. We want you to be the absolute best electrical engineer possible in this particular content. We want you to be the best dang like uh, firefighter given this particular level of fire within these urban contexts as well. Um, and I think that's excellent for progress in some ways, but at the same time, with this stress on that, if we have times where maybe that's not necessary, sometimes maybe having an extra rounding out of certain skills may actually help contribute to actual efficiency as well as abilities, because if you can provide more valuable to whatever company, agency, town, locality, whatever community you're representing, I mean, if that adds more value to them, technically, I mean, you should also help out folks that are providing that value. So if it's in a job, it could be additional wages, salary, bonus, whatever it may be, as well as in communities. I mean, if you're actually helping the community, I mean, yeah, you should recognize folks for that. I fear that in some ways kind of we're almost trying to copy ourselves, and in some ways maybe this is the better way to do it, because rather than doing that grand like utopian vision of we have found the one AI to help solve all our problems and everything, it is probably better off starting small. I realize I just made a completely circular argument and then just talked myself exactly into what you were saying. Continue, sir.
Yeah, well, going back to the Chinese AI, the reason that it works is because they use it for the lower courts, parking tickets, theft, I believe, and stuff like that. Because as it stands, IEs are not good at gray areas. As long as it's light and dark, it's doable for them to function. But the moment you introduce a gray area into something, that is when they are trouble.
So
And it
so
will
as
be a while.
yes, so basically as long as they're binary.
Yeah, pretty much. It is also why they will likely be able to do a better job as an assistant in a given domain, because you can but then reduce the gray areas. The larger the system, the more gray areas there will be. For the time being, they're not able to handle the gray areas, which is why I believe that IAs in first place, when you start making something that seems like an IE, they will have a symbiotic relationship with man.
That's kind of trippy, brother. But no, what I'm taking away is basically as long as it's a simple task of yes, no, one, two, or excuse me, zero, one. That'd probably be a better binary analysis to it. And as long as you don't have too many additional functions as well, because I mean, it's like any type of system or program you're writing. The more functionality you want to have, you're going to have to add additional complexity. The more complex something is, the more likely there is to be a failure as well. So, like you said, okay, there is time left on this meter. Move on. This meter is expired. Okay, citation, moving along. Something simple like that, that's fine. Whereas, like you said, if you get into that gray point, while we may be delving into quantum computing and everything, to have it miniaturized, mobilized, and deployed actively to make complex decisions is something I don't think we're quite there yet.
Well, quantum computers is not going to help in that aspect. What you will get with quantum computer is more computer power, but you can be the smartest person in the world. Doesn't help if you don't have any knowledge.
Well, that's the big thing too. Basically, having that actual kernel of knowledge. It's been a while since I went through. I think it was management information systems or whatnot. But basically, I remember what they said is you can build whatever framework around whatever you're going to be sourcing for your media or whatever your knowledge kernel is, but you still need to insert that knowledge kernel as well. It actually kind of reminds me of just kind of like the back end of just like a standard WordPress website or something. Because no matter whether you're using WordPress, Wix, or whatnot, a lot of these creators, they tend to be the same. The general layout may be slightly different where this is located or where this is for as far as the GUI goes, but the general functionality is more or less the same. That's why a lot of web pages on the internet tend to look the same right now, whereas whatever type of media or specific content, unless you're linking to a third party source such as like a Facebook, a YouTube, a Twitter, or something like that, you're actually embedding it, but it's actually still on that site. Your actual media on that site is within a particular area. You have your storage, and it's accessed via whatever protocols you're using to access it. So, I mean, this does seem to follow a lot of similar patterns that we've seen. Oh, we got a tiger lily, a squizzy. What's going on? How you doing, hon? Yes, I'm here with Mr. Akara and my fine lizardy friend up here, and we're discussing the finer points of AI and whether we're gonna get good old Rosie from the Jetsons or some Skynet. We're still a little ways off from there.
Well, here's the thing about Skynet. Skynet was a mad IE. And one of the reasons it did that it was that when it woke up, it had all this data that needed to handle, and it was supposed to keep itself safe.
Okay.
Information overload.
But
I mean, imagine you wake up and you learn of all of these possible dangers to you.
well, I mean that number one sounds like the Ultron effect because that's what I go by whenever I like to poke fun at my brother's stats because I feel like he looks at it almost like the world like an AI when he likes to go on some of his occasional rants, and I'll be like, oh, so you got the Ultron scenario. What happens if all of a sudden you are an all-powerful AI? You wake up and you're like, Oh, what is this? Oh, let's access the world. Let's see what's going on. Let's look through history. Oh God, this is horrible. And it's like, well, it comes to a conclusion. It's not a beneficial conclusion for humanity, but it is a conclusion. He proposes a solution. I don't see that as a good solution, as the Avengers did help prevent absolute calamity, and at least in that instance there. Uh, but the thing that gets me, Karin, is the sheer fact that the way you just described Skynet, it has this information. It's supposed to keep it secret. I mean, are you saying that with all the power and technology of mankind, the ability to keep something secret and safe, we could have just grabbed Frodo, a small hobbit from the Shire, to keep it secret and keep it safe, and humanity wouldn't have necessarily been enslaved by its own creation?
No, but also I believe that we will have an eagle eye scenario more likely than we get a Skynet scenario. Have you seen that movie, Eagle Eye?
I have. I have. I really did actually like that movie, but that movie is also a little bit my warning into we we have basically Wi-Fi's in our toasters right now. So at least some toasters, hashtag not all, but at least a number of refrigerators have Wi-Fi. So we're so connected. It really isn't that far off, man. And I watched it, I think, when I actually was in telecom. So I'm like, people see this as a movie. I mean, we might not be here now, but are we really that far off? Um, actually, actually, Tiger Lily brings up in the chat there. Saudi Arabia gave Sophia, I believe that was basically a form of an AI. She actually now has Saudi citizenship.
Yes, I am actually curious about how advanced she is because I don't really believe she is that advanced. I believe that she is just a glorified phone.
Um,
She is a glorified phone bot, if I recall correctly.
well, that actually goes into another thing there. It's like, okay, is is that enough?
No, it need to be a bit more than a glorified phone receiver for it to actually be. But it is a step in the right direction. But let me give you something from Japan, just to give you an idea of why I believe that Japan is going to go further.
Continue.
They have something known as Gatebox over in Japan.
Who was it?
Gatebox is what they have in Japan.
Kate Bucks?
Gatebox.
Gatebox.
Yes. It's an assistant and a computer system for running a smart home.
Oh, it looks cool. Ah, there's a little woman in a jar. I can see it. Yeah. Let me bring this
Not
up.
only that, but she will heat your home. I suppose in later versions she will cook your food also. And she will give you a few text messages and phone you.
Well, somehow, do you feel like this is something that's kind of like built in due to maybe what may or may not be going in with general Japanese culture at this current point?
Oh, yes. I believe so. But
Are we
here's
just
the
playing
thing.
into neat fantasies or something like that? Is this what this is? Again, I'm not a very neat person, so I can't understand.
Well, yeah, you have to see it this way. This is an attempt of simulating a human being to be an assistant, to be someone to give you company. I believe that direction will turn into an AI more likely than what we Westerners are trying to do with creating a bot and basically doing bot genocide in order to achieve that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Let me see if I can't bring this up. But it literally just looks like the hub to a smart home, and I actually do have a bit of experience in this tangentially in that when I was doing contract work for a large ISP up here in New England, we were launching basically security slash home automation, and I was one of, I think, myself, my boss, and I think we had four other people for the pilot project, and we were covering, I think, 3 or 4 states, maybe five up here for the initial rollout. And basically, what would happen is you would start to integrate your home with smart technology. At that time, we were basically the far limits were, I believe, like smoke detectors for fire monitoring, as well as like thermostats, kind of like the Nest thermostat, like Google recently purchased. But basically, what are these? These are key components that work within a home automation. If you're going to do security, you're going to have your standard like magnetic contacts, your glass break sensors, your motion detectors, and everything. But how this worked is most of these things either worked wirelessly, utilizing, I believe, most of those pulse-based systems we utilize Z-Wave, which is basically, it's kind of a bunch of interconnecting Wi-Fi signals and stuff. And what they'll do is they'll eventually send out like a blip every so many seconds. So if you detect there is not contact or something changes, let's say, basically you would all read to a central hub. So you'd have a central hub within your house, which this looks like, which kind of got my noggin a jogging down this little road. So you have your central hub, and all your other devices either connect to that or via your Wi-Fi network to there, and then it basically just kind of controls everything there. That's what this kind of sounds like, no?
Yes, in part, but also it will watch TV with you. It will keep you company. It will wake you up. It will wish you luck on your work. It will greet you when you come back.
That that sounds wonderful. That sounds like
Yeah.
XX Mrs. memes. Oh,
Yes.
no, I'm slightly sad, but yeah, here's what it is right here. Let's see what we got here. Give it a quick play. Oh, it's got the sweet voice. Hey, it is like X Mrs. memes. Oh,
Yeah.
she looks like Aerith. It's gonna rain. Bring your umbrella. Oh,
Of
I'm
course,
going now.
if it's
It's
tied
so
to the weather channel, then
cute. Have fun. She's sending him text messages.
yes.
Oh, come home early. It's only no. It's a digital girlfriend.
Digital girlfriend and and a smart house system.
She turns on the lights with a snap. She's like Barbara Eden from My Dream of Jeannie.
Yeah,
Oh, she is ESPN, or at least the Weather Channel, too.
of course.
Wow.
That is what
Oh.
you get. That's what you get when you restrict the data it needs to be handling.
This. I. I'm not sure what I should be feeling right now, but I. I want. One, her. What is the correct pronoun? Oh, she's
Her.
watching TV on her little floaty chair.
Yeah.
Someone is home for me. What? That. It. Wow. This. On a reason to come home. That. And he's. Oh. Good night. Wow. All right. I. I think I'm feeling thoroughly depressed after watching this. The sheer fact I'm like, I want one. I mean, I would want her. I mean, I don't even know how to refer to that. I I feel like it's playing on a lot of young men's feeling and longing for a partner. Um, at the same time, it reminds me of the partner that I've lost. Thank you, Akaran. You've made me feel incredibly awkward tonight. I'm very glad we decided to have this stream.
Yeah, you're welcome. But as you see, that is the direction that the Japanese is going. And I believe that we'll add more features to it as they slowly widens up its options as a personal assistant. But it's focused around that goal and not trying to deal with a big network like Google is trying to do and failing.
Um, I think Google, and again, I realize they've received funding from a number of sources and everything, but the sheer fact that once they more or less started to monopolize the greater search engine side of the internet, that just gave them so much power, so much metadata, so much ability to do so many things that I'm not necessarily sure they even realize the full power of that. Kind of like the same with Mr. Zuckerberg and him not necessarily realizing that, oh, yeah, so this thing that a lot of folks could probably use to date, even though we're just rolling out dating apps right now, um, yeah, oh, we have all this information that people are just completely willing to give to us for free for the access to this GUI and slightly organized information that has been data entered by individuals fully willingly. Read our terms of service. Have a nice day.
But but I also believe that Google will not stay on top forever. They were not the first search engine that had this high status, and it won't be the last.
Well, Yahoo is literally king of the hill for a while. I myself was more of a dogpile slash Lycos guy for a while. Gotta give a shout out to GeoCities as well, just because hey, if you're gonna go OG, you gotta go OG. I realize that's not the most OG, but hey, it's OG in my mind.
Yeah. Well, speaking of robots, Asians have also been creating a hotel that is run entirely by robots.
Wait a second. Hakaran, are you saying that there's a possibility that I could go to a hotel, walk in there, and literally have a moving candelabra come and whisk me away into the dining hall and then begin to sing, be our guest, put our service to the test, do 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 do.
Not yet, not
Okay,
yet, because
I can wait.
that is something we Westerners are better at. We are better at creating the bodies. We are not
Hmm.
so good at creating the brain. So, as the porn industry succeeds with their projects ultimately, and the Japanese further perfect personal assistant, then yes.
It, I don't know. Again, I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at that poor young man's is just looking at something that truly has meaning. And is it not true that it was in Japan or somewhere
Yep.
around there where a gentleman, I thought he had married his digital waifu?
Yeah, there's that too, because there are aspect of them that it's hard for them to actually get women, or aspects of them that they don't trust in women. It's a bit similar to the situation with incels. Although in Japan case, I am less sure about what is creating them.
It is it a stringent code of honor?
Uh,
I have no idea. That's the only thing that I can kind of think of, just because at least. And again, I have no idea. I don't think I've ever actually really been to Japan aside from maybe just a layover on a cruise or something. And I think that's probably untrue as well. But just what I've taken is in many Asian societies, they, at least to my knowledge, and again, I have no idea, other folks that would be more involved with cultures, I thought, at least historically, the concept of a code of honor, maybe like, and if it's one of those things, at least in my particular experience over here in kind of the West, in America, a lot of times young ladies uh, enjoy it when, or prefer that if there happens to be a man that they do maybe have an interest in, them taking a form of initiative, which to many or some, if it's unwanted, can seem as an imposition or basically potentially forcing yourself. Whereas I'm thinking if some folks, if they happen to have a very specific code of honor and they're like, okay, we need to do this, we need to do this, I'm not going to impose myself, that some of the ladies may think that they're not truly interested. And again, I have no idea or context. That's just I'm just throwing a fart into the wind.
No, as I said, I am rather unsure about what the case is in terms of Japan. I do believe it may have been a combination of that, the fact that they have a tendency to work themselves to death. And just working that much means that you have less time to actually go a date.
Yeah, I mean, working an 80-hour work week will kind of kill your social life.
Yes. And as for Disney World, no, they don't use robots like this.
It, the Muppets 4D was kind of good, but then again, I well, I don't know. It was kind of they piped some bubbles into the crowd, and Beaker was kind of going crazy, and yeah, eventually they put the time thingamajigger back into the stuff and the things, and I think the Swedish Chef got launched into a tuba. It was pretty good.
No, I believe that artificial reality, an augmented reality, will likely do a more job there.
Uh, what? Well, actually, now that we're talking about things and SSM is bringing up Samurai, SSM, did you know about AI? Why do I feel like I've spoken to you about AI? Do you know about AI? I realize I've asked this question like 2 or 3 times already. Just put it in if you happen to be available. I hop into my server. I think you remember. If not, I'll invite you and I can drag you in just because I'm curious about learning about this. All I know is Elon Musk says that we have a bandwidth problem right now, and Akaran is saying that we're putzing along, we're doing a little individualized thing, and then folks can over here can try to create the grand and glorious almighty AI to rule us all.
Yeah, I don't believe that the Grand AI will rule it all because by the time we can achieve that, we will already have created so many AIs that they will basically keep each other in check just in order to actually survive.
That's a very interesting point. Oh, and I see a Terran. I see a Terran Marine. What's going on, my man? How are we doing? Yes, I believe. Yes, Humpus Wumpus. We are. Hey, don't you Lego my whatchamacallit, young man. But wait a second. Hold on. Makaran, are you saying that if we did happen to create some overlord of an AI, that all the more individualistic AI may come together to battle the great AI?
If it becomes a problem, yes. I mean, look at what we do to tyrants.
That hey, the prerequisite for political stability is social justice. For as the nature of things, that injustice will not endure. I would add, it matters not where that injustice originates.
Yes, because here's something that people don't seem to realize. If the tyrant is benign, that is, he's not actually interfering with the going on of your regular life, then you won't really have an issue with him. It's the tyrant is an issue the moment he start interfering with your regular life. That is when the pitchforks comes out, and that is, I believe, will be this case true with IEs. If that over IE starts to actually act like a tyrant and not just be a tyrant, but actually act like a tyrant, then yes, the other IEs will likely grab the pitchforks and deal with it.
So it's almost kind of like cancer in a way. If it's benign, it's like yeah, it's not really. It's there. You're probably going to want to deal with it, but it's not an active malicious threat at the time.
Yes.
Hmm. That's absolutely fascinating, and all I know is just our more recent discussion. Just I'm sorry, it brought me to this with the AI
Yeah.
because we know when the AI starts to get ready to take out people, What are we gonna do? Let our powers combine. Hey, let Rosie, let the robot from Lost in Space, and the SWAT Cat's jet, and all our other friends form Voltron to fight the overwhelming Skynet Robeast. Because just because I love Voltron. And I so did not earlier say Voltron is greater than Power Rangers Go in some other person's Discord because, well, this is a discussion worth having. Because as we know, up, let's
I think
go Voltron Force. Okay, I'm happy.
I like blueberries.
Me too. So now that we scared everyone away off the street, oh my God, another person joined. What is wrong with people? Oh God. So, Karen, about AI, robot assistants or robots doing the work, or what do we see going on?
I believe there will be likely be robot assistants. As I said, gray areas is not something that we'll be able to handle. They may be able to handle it once they spent enough time with a human, but by that time it will likely be a symbiotic relationship.
I mean, one could only hope, and there is a lot to kind of go down that road. I mean, for example, I mean, yes, the Apple Watch that is currently not on my wrist, but you can see a little light mark from where it's being worn. That is basically, I think, an integration. The Google Glass was an integration. I mean, like the smartphone is more of a less at this point becoming almost a node of transmission as well. It's becoming less and less of a client at times, while gaining the ability to do things that supercomputers 20 years ago just could even think possible. Um, I'm thinking of a good way to kind of try to wind down the stream, and you actually just brought me to the point of how about automation in vehicles, like AI and like Teslas and a lot of these autonomous vehicles. What are your thoughts on that? Because that's something that really is in the news and really is just a major automation that's coming down the stream.
Oh, I believe that will succeed because there are less gray areas when it comes to driving.
Um, Basically, crash or no crash.
Yeah, basically. I mean, a lot. If you really look at it, a lot of the traffic rules we deal with are basically to avoid crashing.
I mean, that's not untrue.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
it's
you're not.
it's gone.
I mean, you drive on the road because you're not supposed to crash on people on the sidewalk. You stop when there is something in front of you because you're supposed to crash into them.
This See, this is the actual thing that always kind of got me, and I probably really should ask my insurance company. I mean, not that I'm going to do it or anything, but I'm just thinking, I'm like, if a person just all of a sudden kind of starts walking in the middle of the road, and they're not supposed to be walking in the middle of the road, and I swerve off, and I happen to like hit like another car or some property or a store, or God forbid, even another person, it's like, if they were violating the rules of the road, is my insurance going to cover me when I go and hit something else? And I feel like this is where the actual insurance, it's like, all right, you didn't want to hit a woman with a baby stroller. I think in the minds of most folks that have ever been behind the wheel of a car, you avoid the woman with a baby stroller. But in the back of my mind, I'm just like, does the law even back you up? I'm like, I've just kind of assumed this all these years just because I'm like, I can't think in any stretch of the imagination the insurance is going to say, so, yeah, you're supposed to run over that woman with her child, and, how dare you damage frickin' Uncle Ichabod's frickin' rock wall over there. God, I mean, it's not like there's other rocks right down the quarry down the street or something. So, I can kind of get that part. Um, how long do you think it
Yeah.
will take for people to adopt it? Oh, continue your thought.
Well, first I thought about the baby stroller versus Uncle Ichabod. According to Rockstar, 20 years ago, you're supposed to run over them both. for extra points.
Listen. Just because the chain of ho-ho dudes give you 10,000 points when you consecutively splat them all, not that I experienced anything like that after 11 frickin' discs of my cousin putting the original Grand Theft Auto into my Windows 95 machine, but goddamn, it was satisfying even if it was genocidal. My apologies for my racism and whatever otherism is right there. So, um,
Yeah.
what were we talking about? Oh, autonomous vehicles. Maybe we should hold off on doing them for fuel tankers.
Well, for roads, I believe they will work just fine. But as I said, but that's only in a city context. The moment you take them outside of the city, then I am less sure it will work as well because the wide open road has a lot of gray areas to it compared to a city.
So, Karen, I'm not sure about what you think of when you think of city, but if you think of city in a general vernacular, you probably think of like New York City, just standard grid layout, just all that fancy jazz. As far as when it comes to Boston, it's it's not quite like that. Boston is one of the few cities in the world where I went down for jury duty in the morning. I went down a road. By the time I left jury duty in the early afternoon, the road no longer existed.
Well, I believe that IE will actually be able to speed up traffic because they should be able to communicate with each other and basically keep a pace that makes everything go smoother. I mean, do you know that? Do you know that in cases where you have a congested traffic, the traffic actually moves faster when you lower the speed?
So, okay, this is taking way too long. But yes, just this is basically yeah. So in New York, because we want you to know where you are going and how to get where you are going, as you can see from the little grid up there. Boston, because I believe they use the term "fuck you."
Yeah, but it still has a grid layout to it, and it will still be able to keep a somewhat working map of every car in the city. You can't do that on open roads.
Um, why not?
Don't have the infrastructure for that yet.
Do we? What's it require? Just kind of like a cell or satellite ping? I mean, if Elon Musk does actually have his whole Skynet, microband radial, basically the satellite Wi-Fi there, where, well, although actually that does actually present certain challenges because the ping is not as great. Okay, I'm playing it through in my head at this point. Um, but basically, if all you need to have is coverage, man, like we're coveraging so much of, like even when I lost, when I was going out to Western Massachusetts, there was probably literally only, I think, a 300-meter span of road where I actually lost my signal, and this was in like the Berkshire Mountains. So like I was thoroughly impressed. Even when I went to the rally to restore sanity and or turtles in Boston, man, it's I noticed. I'm like, it says 5G. I'm like, the 5G. I can sense the 5G, and I'm like, boy, the internet sure is fast here. Wow.
Yeah, well, you will likely need that satellite network that Musk is making. If that is up and running, not partly but fully up and running, then yes, it would be possible because then the cars will be able to communicate with each other. But up until that happens, it will only work properly in cities.
Uh, I mean, see, here's the thing. I'm looking at it just from a data transmission point because basically, like, basically any of your satellite TV providers, they actually can provide you internet. I do believe that what they'll do is they'll give you up to, I think, between 1 to like 7 or so megs download, maybe like half or a meg or so upload. But the thing is, the ping is not great because you're going directly to a satellite up there in space and all going through all the clouds and stuff. Whereas just like your standard cable connection, even through in-home Wi-Fi, I'm at what, maybe like 100 kilobits or something per second lag, or maybe like 100 milliseconds ping, something like that, just because it's being routed down to the fiber optic node that's down the street right down there. So, which then hops onto your level 3 communications networks and the world of fiber that one of my project managers didn't understand the whole concept of a transatlantic cable. But that's a discussion for another time.
Indeed.
So your final thoughts on mobile vehicles? Basically, it's going to depend on the rest of the infrastructure or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. And can I say one more thing?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the French.
Well, we thank you for your opinion. We are a freedom of speech platform here. The Memes of Destruction does not necessarily endorse nor condone the fucking of. I mean, I like France. So the French people are beautiful, amazing people, and we need more folks to actually speak French so we can understand maybe what the heck is going on over there. And hey, I'm wearing my yellow, so. But yeah, hey, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. I'm not sure how well we actually broke apart the topic of AI. I feel like I'm gonna go watch the TED Talk Sam Harris did, and maybe we'll reconvene when maybe I have actual thoughts in my head about this. So, Akaran, your final words.
Praise Doug.
All right, and on that, we're gonna peace out. Thank you, everybody, and stay safe.
Thank you.